So yesterday we recognized nurses. Today what we're going to do is recognize correctional officers, correctional professionals, and correctional nurses. It's their week as well this week, and we just want to say thank you to all of our correctional officers who really do a fantastic job of protecting Nebraskans, keeping them safe, keeping our inmates safe. Our correctional officers really, really work hard. They really are heroes. So if you know one of those correctional officers, please this week give them an attaboy. They're doing great work there in our correctional system. I really appreciate all the work that Scott Frakes and his team do. So thank you very much to all the folks who are working in our correctional system. Another group of people who have been doing a fantastic job is the Nebraska National Guard. I cannot tell you how proud I am of the men and women in our National Guard. Now, we all know that they have in the past responded to tornadoes like in Pilger. Certainly last year, they did a lot of work around the flooding. We all remember the miles they drove, the helicopter missions, the rescues, flying in some conditions that the pilot said were worse than combat conditions. But I've also had the privilege of pinning air medals on some of our helicopter pilots who flew in combat conditions under fire to rescue a Green Beret, saving his life. We know that our National Guard go overseas to defend our freedoms. And one of the things that always I think is very special about the National Guard, and if anybody wants to talk about young people today and say, oh, young people don't have the same values as the last generation, it's just not true. Think about this. 25 years ago, you joined the Nebraska National Guard. You did not expect to be deployed because our National Guard soldiers really weren't used for that. Today, our young women and men who join the National Guard not only know they'll get deployed, but they want to be deployed. They want to take the fight to the enemy. They want to help out their fellow citizens here in the state. They want to be of service. I just can't tell you how proud I am of all those young men and women. They just do a fantastic job. Just the work that they do is just amazing. And we should all be very, very proud of the folks who joined the National Guard. 4,500 between our Army Guard and our Air Guard. Since 9/11, we've had the Air Guard on continuous deployment that entire time. Our Army Guard often goes on deployment. And during this coronavirus emergency, we've had nearly 400 of our Army Guard called up. That is actually more than we had during the flooding last year. The General will get some more details around that. They've been providing logistics and planning support. They've been working to distribute food to food banks. They've been helping us with the testing. They're helping us with the quarantine and isolation for our Nebraska Accommodation Project. They have been incredibly versatile. And again, these are our citizen soldiers, right? These are folks who run every walk of life. You know, whether it's doctors or nurses or accountants or mechanics or law enforcement. Heck, we probably even have a fishmonger in there somewhere. So we have just so many people who volunteer for the Nebraska National Guard. I couldn't be more proud of the work they're doing. And so today what I wanted to do was have General Bohack here, who's our Adjutant General for the Nebraska National Guard, talk a little bit about those women and men who are making us so proud here in the state of Nebraska, who are serving their fellow citizens and just doing a fantastic job. So with that, General, I'm going to have you come up and talk a little about all the great work that you're doing.
All right, Governor, thank you. So, Governor, thanks for the confidence that you have in the men and women and what we do each and every day for the citizens of Nebraska and for our nation. And as the Governor mentioned, nearly 400 airmen and soldiers on duty today. That tops the peak from last year's flood response, where we had our peak was 329 last year. So among the missions that we're doing, I'll start with the 6 mobile testing teams. They've been amazingly flexible. These are, by the way, all volunteers. We've not ordered anyone into duty. They're raising their hands and want to be there. So a typical team has 6 medics, some data entry folks, a couple decon folks to help people stay safe that are doing the swabbing, and the medics are the ones doing the nasal.
John, you might want to explain decon?
Yes, sir. Yep, thank you. Decontamination procedures, so that when they put on and take off their personal protective equipment, they do it in a very safe manner and are kept safe, and then some oversight folks too. That team, composed of about 18 people, can do up to 600 swabs in a day in a walk-through operation. And if it's a drive-through, which is some of what we've been doing, it's about 300 a day in about a 6-hour period. So we have 6 of those teams that are on duty. They're out among the communities. Currently, Crete, Grand Island, Holdridge, Schuyler, Columbus, and McCook are the cities they're working in this week. They've been in 29 different cities, 26 counties supported, and 18 of the public health departments. So they've driven 33,000 miles, and as you can see from our poster here, they've collected 11,162 samples so far. That's about 30% of the total samples collected in Nebraska. So they're doing really good things. The other place where we have some medical folks involved is in the Nebraska Accommodation Project. And that's where we're helping to staff, particularly the isolation operations. So we're folks that are positive but have low medical needs and need a place to be where they can isolate from their families or others if they don't have somewhere to go. And so currently doing that at UNO and University of Nebraska at Omaha, and also University of Nebraska at Kearney. And University of Nebraska at Lincoln is, we're planning that as the need presents itself, and then looking at other locations with the community or state college system across the state. So we'll be prepared to do that. That's a good example of a public-private partnership, because we roll in, get it stood up, and then we bring in staffing solutions from a medical service company that comes in and backfills us so we can go on to do more. As far as commodities and food, with the food banks, both Lincoln and Omaha food banks, which then they reach out and support all the other food banks in Lincoln or in the state of Nebraska. And that team's driven 21,000 miles so far. They've distributed over 90,000 pounds of food products, to include 12,000 pounds of produce. And so they have been integral to the food bank operation, getting food out across the state to those that need it. And I can tell you that's a very motivated team. When they learned what the best production rate was in creating the bags that they hand out, that team took it on to top that goal, and they've done it 3 days in a row. So they're pretty active, pretty motivated. And then we're also supporting the distribution of personal protective equipment from Department of Administrative Services and Procurement, is getting the items that are needed to help keep people safe, and first responders and healthcare workers in particular. And they've helped distribute 1.6 million face masks and shields, and another almost 2 million gloves out there. So doing that. And then finally, I'll say, in the background, so you always have to have planners and folks supporting. And the great thing is we're integrated with Department of Health and Human Services and with Dr. Antone's team in the Public Health Division in particular, but also, again, with the division or Department of Administrative Services. And we're supporting 2 CHI test sites as well, not doing the testing, but providing some support so they can run, so the medical staff up there can do the swabbing. So your Nebraska National Guard is very busy, very proud, very glad to be in. As the governor noted, our folks want to do this. They want to help their fellow citizens. It's why they joined the National Guard versus the Air Force or the Army or any other reserve component, because it's what we get to do, and we only get to do it. So I'll pause there and see if there are questions.
So, General, I got some other things we'll get, and then we'll open up. You just stay close because we got.
Yes, sir. Will do.
All right, thank you.